through all these issues. Oh, and one more thing. You might have heard that I'm running for a state house. And as I said, I was not considered, you know, as I said, I told Dennis a week ago, I had no idea I'd be standing up here talking about any of this stuff, much less a campaign for state house. But I'll be very brief on this. You know, I've been on county council for about 7 years now, and prior to that, I've been active in the party in various capacities. And I've been here in Aiken nearly 20 years associated with the Savannah River site and other companies. I have a lot of business experience, political experience, and really my experience on county council has really perked my interest at the state level, because we realize that when you're in the county, you know, there are no county rights like there's state rights versus the federal government. You know, counties are subdivisions of the state, and what the state does really has an impact on local government. And it's been remarkable as I've been reading in the last week. You know, I can't become an expert in a week on all the potential pending bills in Columbia. But when I look at what the Policy Council talks about, I look at what some of these other organizations talk about, I'm sitting there thinking, wow, it's really remarkable how many really bad bills there are out there being proposed, but it's also remarkable how many good bills are being proposed out there. And it's, I would really like the opportunity not only to stop the bad, I always see my role as kind of negative, but to actually be positive and advance some of the interesting proposals to reform our state government. You know, I could go through a laundry list. I made up a list of different policy positions, and they always say, come up with 3 points, right? Well, I haven't come up with my 3 points yet. But I will say in general, I think when you elect somebody, be it Tom Young or Bill Taylor or a Gary Bunker, you know, you're hiring somebody for their philosophy, because no one can anticipate ahead of time where you're going to stand on every single possible piece of legislation that's going to come up with. It's just impossible to do that. So if I was to describe myself, I'd say, okay, I'm a less is more kind of guy, right? Less taxes, less spending, less regulation. That's where I'm at for the most part. I'm almost always opposed to any new programs, because no program ever dies. You know, I swear, on county council, we could have 5 votes lined up to kill something in the budget, and one constituent shows up at public hearing, and bam, nobody wants to kill it except for myself. You know, where'd everybody else go? That kind of thing we have happen. I am always opposed to the use of debt to pay for operating expenses. I think that's just, you know, if you were to buy a new house, if you were to buy a car, if you had something that was a one-time capital, yeah, debt's appropriate. Aiken County carries a relatively small amount of debt. You look at the federal government, they couldn't go 5 or 6 months without expanding the debt. It's unbelievable. And lastly, I'll say that I am unabashedly a traditionalist, pro-life, pro-traditional marriage, and absolutely opposed to any form of state-sponsored social engineering. The state is to get out of the way of the culture. The state is to let the people live their lives as they've lived it, and I am absolutely opposed to whenever the state comes in and tries to change the way people live, because you know what? The people are the masters of the state, not the state the masters of the people. So, thank you. So as I've told some, I might have a few supporters here maybe. As I've told some of my friends, many hands makes light work. So if you want to help out in the campaign, please come. I mean, we're riding to the sound of the guns. When I ran for county council 8 years ago, I had like all this time, and I didn't think it was enough. But I had what now looks like all the time in the world to set up a campaign. Now all of a sudden, you know, Greg announces and Tom announces and I announce, and we're trying to do everything that a normal campaign tries to do, all in the space of 90 days. So we're running hard, and I certainly appreciate your indulgence and your patience with my comments, and I hope to see you all out on the campaign trail. So if you have any questions,